What is up, Buffalo Fanatics? Z-Bot, Rico. It's Rico and Bot on the post-game show on the BF YouTube channel. 34-10. I ain't gonna lie, Rico. They had us in the first half.
Hey,
but the second half was different, my man. Talk to me.
ladies and gentlemen, what a tale of two halves. My goodness, big shout out to this team in the second half. The adjustments that were made all the difference in this game. I don't know who the heck that was in the first half. I have no idea. I don't know who that quarterback was. I don't know who that defense was. I don't know who the offensive coordinator was. I don't know what was going on. But I sure do recognize the team I saw in the second half. And that was the team that could really, really push deep into the playoffs and contend for a Super Bowl. My goodness, man. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Smash that like if you know what's good for you. Smash that like for my boy Z-Bot. Smash that like for the Bills winning that win. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel.
Hit that damn button, for God's sakes.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in 34-10, your final from Orchard Park. The Buffalo Bills improved to 5-2 on the season. Dominant W in a game where, just like many others, we are beyond frustrated with about 15 plus minutes of gameplay until all of a sudden you blink and these Buffalo Bills turn it on and never turn it back off. 34 unanswered points by the Buffalo Bills in this game. The Titans jump out to a 10-0 lead. And like you mentioned, Rico, that first half team unrecognizable. That second half team is exactly what you want to see week in and week out. It was almost like in the first half, you got the Bills version of the first half Cardinals game, of the Ravens game, of the Texans game. But in the second half, you got that Jaguars game. You got that Miami Dolphins game. You got dominance on both sides of the ball in the second half. Credit to Sean McDermott. His second half adjustments this year defensively have been absolutely remarkable. Shout out to Josh Allen, who was 4 of 11 at halftime, winds up finishing the day with his first 300-plus yard performance of the year. Keon Mother effing Coleman, the rookie, with 100-plus. Coop absolutely showing up in a situation where we didn't know how much we'd see of him today, having just signed with the Bills this past week. These Bills were clicking on all cylinders for 30 minutes of football in the second half. Rico, it was a lot of fun to watch.
Well, so and we're gonna listen. We talk about how great this game was and stuff, but we've got let's get into the negative first, and then we can get into the positive because there's a lot of positive. But
yep,
we can't have first halves like this.
No,
that first half was absolutely abysmal. It was atrocious. I was embarrassed. I was like, what are we doing? We're allowing this bum Titans team with Mason Rudolph taking over the helm to try to push us around and not allowing us to do that. I get it. That defense is what, a top 5 defense? I don't want to hear anything about Mason Rudolph. You know what I mean? Just dinking and dunking. This dude had 40 attempts today. Yeah. And I get it. It should be that way. But 40 attempts, he completed 25 passes. Golly, folks, we cannot have that type of mess. But tale of two halves. But that first half, what stood out to you in that first half where you're like, come on, guys, we got to be better than that?
Well, I mean, the first half all around was abysmal on both sides of the ball, in particular defensively, and you just mentioned it. And it was the one reason why I was worried about Mason. I don't want to say worried, but I was more concerned with Mason Rudolph in this game than I would have been if Will Levis was starting, because Mason Rudolph was doing in the first half the things that Will Levis won't. And that's taking the easy pass, checking it down, throwing the screen pass, throwing the intermediate route, tic-tac-toeing. That's exactly what they were able to do early on. They had the screen game going well. Tony Pollard got off to a really good start. There were way too many guys open in the intermediate passing game in the middle of the field. Curl routes near or around the first down marker were open at will early on for these Tennessee Titans. That's an offense going in that had the worst pass offense in the entire NFL. But with Mason Rudolph, they were able to tic-tac-toe it down the field. This defense didn't have an answer for anything underneath. They were getting close to getting after Mason Rudolph, but they couldn't get home. The offensive line for Tennessee was holding up well, and they were able to take advantage of it. And then offensively, 3 straight 3-and-outs to start the game. Josh Allen was looking like he was going back to what he showed us against the Texans, where he had 9 completions, 4 of 11, like I mentioned in the first half. They went away from the run game, which seemed to go early on. The first 2 snaps of the game, Rico, they run the ball well. Then that throw to Amari Cooper, a drop, and you're thinking, oh boy, this isn't a great start. 3 straight 3-and-outs. Then they got that broken coverage play to Keon Coleman that set him up for the touchdown to James Cook. But overall, offensively in the first half, there was absolutely nothing to show for. And defensively, they weren't playing very well either. I don't know what it is about this team, but you said it. It'll work against the Titans and Mason Rudolph. It'll work against the Arizona Cardinals of the world. But when that stuff happens against the Ravens of the world, you saw it. It gets too insurmountable and you can't overcome that and you wind up getting your ass kicked. So today we're going to celebrate it throughout the show here. Of course, it was a dominant victory and we're not going to take away from 30 minutes of incredible football from these Bills. But there was also 30 minutes of very inept football. And we've seen this throughout the year here. I don't know exactly what the solution is, but there has to be some sort of mindset instilled into this team that when you go into a game, you cannot take a full quarter or so to get it underneath you. And last week, I thought they did a really good job. They started off hot. That first drive for the Bills against the Jets, they went right down the field, ran it down their throat, punched it in. That was awesome. They need to be doing more of that, especially offensively, because the slower starts here, when we get down into the later part of the season and the Bills have to play the Lions and the 49ers and the Chiefs, this stuff is not going to fly. So glad they got it in gear, but that first half beyond concerning. It was a rough watch.
It was absolutely rough watch. And then you're seeing this offense go, and this is the biggest one. I've been preaching this to you guys for so long, and we're going to have to be better. 3rd downs. We weren't able to get up. We weren't able to sustain these drives. At one point, we were 0 for 5 on 3rd downs. Like, guys, we're hitting 34% completion on 3rd downs. We've got to be better. We were one of the best in the league last year. We were hitting on a 50 to 51%. What has happened? We've got to get back to converting. We've got to get back to making these plays where they're more positive gaining type plays. And the one thing that stood out for me, I don't know if you guys felt that. I felt that Brady's play calling was vanilla and predictable, right? It was reminding me a little bit of Nate Hackett. Run, pass. And I get it. You want to run to kind of set yourself up to see what kind of, all right, what are we going to do on the first round? Okay, we're going to run. Okay, he gained 3 yards. Okay, now you're going to be like, okay, what are we doing? We're going to run again. We're going to try to make, if he gets a first down, great. If he doesn't, we'll make it manageable for Josh to get out of it. Okay, now we just took a damn penalty. Or now we just lost 3 yards. So now you put yourself in 3rd and long. Like, get predictable. There was a play. It was 1st down, and it was the second half, and it was a play action. I was like, well, there you go, right? There you go. I know you got to set things up. I know it's about the setup, but the first half was so predictable. I could call what was happening. So if I am sitting in my own home, Titans defense is like, I got that. And that's exactly what it looked like. We just could not get anything going. So that 3rd down aspect of the game, they've got to be better. We finished the game with 3 for 10 on 3rd downs, but for crying out loud, we've got to be better on converting, because there's going to be games, like you said, the Baltimore Ravens, teams like that will make you pay for it. So you got to hold on to the football, sustain drives, right? Try to put a good package together, and let's go. Let's put points on the board. So big shout out to the team, but that part has to be better in the first half. First half, anything else don't stand out to you at all? Like, in terms of play calling,
well, looking at the numbers here, it is absolutely incredible, the reversal. Here's the first half numbers for you. The Tennessee Titans outgained the Bills 226 to 90. That was total yards. Passing yards, 154 to 57. Rushing, 72 to 33. 14 first downs to the Bills, 3. With the Titans converting 5 of their 8 third downs, the Bills converting 0 of their 5 third downs. The Bills punted it 5 times. The Titans punted it 2 times, right? That's the first half. If you go and look at the total box score for the end of the game, the Bills wound up finishing, they had 90 at half total yards. They finished with 389. So they had a 300-yard half in the second half offensively. 315 pass yards. They had 57 at half. 74 rush yards to finish the game. They had 33 at half. They had a 4.5 yard per game average, or yard per play average in the first half. 7.2 in the second half. Meanwhile, defensively, they completely shut down the Titans to the point where I think they gave up. DeAndre Hopkins just didn't even go back into the football game. It was unbelievable. 283 total yards, or 226 total yards for the Titans at half. They finished with 283, Rico. So it was a complete reversal. I don't know what happens at halftime to get them to go from because it's not even like it's a minor adjustment. That right there is a completely different football team from one 30-minute segment to the other. I don't know how that happens. I don't know what happens at halftime for this team to flip it on the way that they did. They did this same exact thing against Arizona, where you're like, where the hell was this for the first 30 minutes of play? I have no idea. But luckily for us, it wound up going down. I think the way you put it was pretty perfect. Early on in the game for Joe Brady, you could have called it. It was run, and then, Josh Allen bailed us out on third down. If it didn't happen, we had to punt. And that was 3 consecutive drives right there. It did seem awfully vanilla. And it did seem like there wasn't an emphasis on getting guys like Coleman or Cooper involved. And then in the second half, that seemed to be emphasized entirely. Josh Allen was able to move the ball exceptionally well in the second half. When you go 4 for 11 and you wind up finishing 21 of 33, how do you go from one half doing that to the next? And the frustrating thing was, it just felt like the Titans, who had the worst pass offense in the league going into the game, they were able to scheme guys open in the intermediate game. Meanwhile, you have Josh Allen on the other side and you can't even get the first down. That was the most frustrating element of it all. And it felt like, despite Josh Allen not looking that great in the first half, it felt like Joe Brady was responsible for a good amount of that, because it just seemed like there was nobody open and they were putting themselves behind the sticks on third down far too often to start that football game. In the second half, they finally were getting creative. You saw it towards the end there with Shakir on these slants with the movement, getting him moved out to the side, getting him the ball and allowing him to get upfield. Great blocking by guys like Hollins and so on. I don't know how to describe it. I really don't. It just feels like there are moments throughout the year here where you're getting 2 completely different iterations of this football team on both sides of the ball. I don't have the explanation for it.
And I get it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you got your scripted plays, and this is what we're gonna run. Our first 15, we're gonna run probably our best 15 to begin with. Try to get up on these guys quick and go from there. But then after that, once that 15 to 25 plays are done, this is where it now becomes a chess match between both guys. And at the same time, when we were A, predictable, but B, we weren't executing. We were slow. I'll tell you this. Love how great Keon Coleman is, but if you pay attention to Keon Coleman, and this might sound like, oh, I'm hating. I'm not hating. Just pay attention. There are some plays where Keon just la-di-da. You know what I mean? He's la-di-da. Like, I need you to go 100 every time, because that's what makes the whole play that much better. But for the most part, that first half was something to forget. James Cook being back, love to see James Cook back. He's getting under his bearings. I know he's still, I think he's 100% from his injury, but it was nice to see a bit of a balance, but we just weren't executing, and it was just too predictable, way too predictable. But thank goodness football is 4 quarters.
Yes,
football is 4 quarters, because we got rid of that stuff and we were able to. So if there's anything that stood out to you guys in the first half where you're kind of like, oh, I didn't like that too much, hashtag it, let us know in the chat. We'll try to get back to it and go from there. But that first half was something to forget. But thank goodness it was the second half, because defense came alive. If I were to ask you, what was the turning point in this game?
Yeah.
What turned things around? What stood out to you?
To me, what stood out the most was the absolute god-awful play call by Tennessee to start the half to go for it on fourth down. The Bills had the entire box loaded, and they just ran it right at him. It was so stupid. I have no idea, A, why they went for it there, because if you don't get it, you already give the Bills the ball in positive territory, and you know your offense isn't great at scoring, regardless of how they looked in the first half. You know you don't want to get into that type of game. You don't want to get into a field possession battle with the Bills, because they're going to beat you. Their offense is just far better than yours. Not only did they go for it, but they ran that play that anybody, I don't care if you've been watching football your whole life or you started watching it today. If I showed you that play and I said, do you think this team's going to get, X amount of yards here? It was such a bad play. The Bills stuff it behind the line of scrimmage. They score immediately, and the game was never the same after that. The Bills just had their foot on the gas right after that. To me, that was the one moment where it seemed like, oh, this game's going to flip, and that's exactly what happened.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because that was a huge stop. And it wasn't a matter of just making that stop. It was more so, once you did get the stop, you capitalized, and it didn't take long. It didn't take long. But what a play by Dwayne Carter. Dwayne Carter absolutely blew that thing up and came in and cashed in. Big shout out to the rookie class. We had 3 players that made significant strides in this game rookie class. Keon Coleman, Ray Davis, Dwayne Carter all contributed in this game to the point where you're like, okay, I know some folks were a little peeved at who we picked in the second. Oh, you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Well, let me remind me. My counterpart over here was a little peeved that we grabbed Keon Coleman. We should have grabbed Xavier Worthy.
No. You know, I was peeved about trading with the Chiefs. I was never peeved about Keon Coleman. I was peeved about trading with the Chiefs, but it was a moment like today. You also look at Worthy's numbers too, by the way, throughout the year here. I don't want to jinx anything, but
listen,
I still hated the move. I still hate it, but yeah, you know.
I love what the rookie class, even Cole Bishop, what a wonderful play. Double teamed on the special team stop, sheds the block, makes the tackle. Bro, listen, we can poo-poo on Brandon Beane all we want, but when push comes to shove, his depth pieces and the guys that he drafts become contributors. We develop these guys, and they do very well. Cole Bishop, Dwayne Carter, Keon Coleman, Ray Davis. This is a great position to be in when you're looking at the future of this team, sprinkled in with some of the vet guys. This is what you want on a team, a lot of balance of young and old, so that way we can make our push in the playoffs. But big shout out to the rookie class. Not bad at all. Good show out. I don't care if it's against the Titans. The Titans was slated as one of the better defenses in the game. Top 5 defense.
Yep.
Forget about what the offense is able to do, but they had a top 5 defense, and we came in and laid up 34 points. Now, they must have had us in the first half, but thank goodness it's 2 halves in a game, and we came in and did what we needed to do. Big shout out to the Bills and that rookie class.
Yeah, this is now the 3rd game this season where the Bills have scored 31 plus and have held their opponent to 10 in the W. And they're playing against an inferior opponent. They beat the ever-living shit out of you. That just seems to be routine. They continuously do this. It's taken time for them to get there, to evolve throughout the game, to be able to get to the point where they dominate. You just need to see this transition into the bigger games. Now, luckily for the Bills here, as they continue to get healthier, and I know Bernard went down today. We were hoping he's going to be all right. He was able to walk off on his own power. He didn't go back into the game, but from the looks of what Thigh Doc had said, shouldn't be anything too serious. So we're hoping that's the case. But as the Bills get healthier here and they're playing in games that are winnable, you're hoping that they continue to be able to do this and then keep that momentum going into the later stages of the year. Because as you saw today, especially, and we'll talk about it with the addition of Amari Cooper here, if they're able to do offensively what they did today, then they're going to be a tough out against anybody. They can compete with anybody. And today, I thought was a great example of the capabilities of this offense, because despite how bad Tennessee is, that was the best overall pass offense going into this game. And it just so happens to be the first game of the year where Josh Allen had 300 plus and the Bills finally had a 100+ yard receiver. So despite the fact, and I understand this completely, despite the fact that the Titans are not a good football team, that is a good defense. And the Bills were able to utterly dominate it through the air, which is what they're best at, the Tennessee defense. They were able to utterly dominate it in a fashion in which they haven't done all year, despite the games that they've had where they've blown teams out. So that was encouraging to see. And you also look back to last week, these past 2 weeks were the 2 best defenses the Bills have played. And it just so happened to be in succession. This offense through the air in both games, they were able to do things that maybe going into the games you weren't expecting, just because of what we had saw against the Ravens and the Texans. So the last 2 weeks are encouraging for the Bills offense against top defenses. It just needs to be more consistent throughout a 60-minute time span, as opposed to picking and choosing when they're going to turn it on.
See, this is one thing I really do like about, like you said, turning it on. It's where the offense then started to look very comfortable and within themselves.
Yes.
And I loved it. But let's jump in and talk about, listen, Amari Cooper.
Man.
Let's talk about Amari Cooper, because that boy came in apparently on a play where he had no idea what was going on.
He didn't.
Allen turns around, does one of these. My man Coop looks over at Keon. Keon's like, go ahead and run your route, bro. So my man's like, all right. Now, if anybody has ever played ball, especially as a defensive back, on defense as a defensive back, there's a rule. Thou shall not let receiver inside. Take away that inside. Do not get beat inside, especially in the red zone. And that's exactly what that poor DB did. My man Coop set him up. easy touchdown, bang, bang. What is Coop going to do for this offense? What do you see going forward as you see Coop first game in? 5 targets, 4 receptions for 66 yards, something of that nature.
Yep.
When you see this, what stands out to you when you look at Coop being part of this?
That was better than I could have anticipated today. That was awesome. So you get the first target to Cooper to start the game out, right? Their first series, and he just flat out drops it. I mean, it's right in his hands. That's a first down. He drops it, and you're like, catches all 4 targets the rest of the way. He finishes the day with 4 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. And now you got to remember, going into this game, the leading receiver in any individual game this whole year was Khalil Shakir with just over 70 yards, I believe, against Jacksonville. This team has not had any production quite like what we saw from Cooper today. And what do you know? With Cooper in there, they wound up getting 3 guys today. Shakir, Cooper, and Coleman, all with 65-plus yards. So that in itself is already doing what we were hoping it would do, Rico. And we barely got a fraction of what we're going to be able to see out of him throughout the rest of the year. He only played a very small percentage of the snaps today. He wasn't in all that much, but when he was in, it was effective. And what you're going to see is you're going to now see other guys be able to take advantage. And today is a perfect example of that. When you have Cooper, it's going to open up things for Shakir. It's going to open up things for Coleman, and it's going to allow them to do what they're best at. Right now, from what I can tell, Shakir is the best possible outlet for Allen on short yardage situations, moving the sticks, and in the screen game. That's his game. He's like their Cole Beasley now. That is Khalil Shakir's game. But without Cooper, he has to play an even broader role, and that's not necessarily what you want for the Bills because it's not his game. With Coleman, he's the big play guy. It feels like now every time Coleman gets a target, he's making a highlight reel play. That's what they drafted him to be. They drafted Keon Coleman to be that go up and get it guy, that deep threat, that big play threat. That's exactly what he's been. But now with Cooper, you're getting the veteran presence and your most reliable, sustainable overall receiver. You're getting the guy that can do a little bit of everything and do a little bit of everything well. So today, in a very small sample size, that to me is the most encouraging thing. He didn't play all that much. He clearly doesn't even know the playbook to the fullest extent because he looks at Coleman, throws his hands up in the air, and he still scores a touchdown. That was exciting. And he made a few plays that were all variables, right? He goes up and gets it on that sideline catch. So you know he can do that. He gets wide open on that touchdown for the separation there. All 4 of those catches were big, including the one that I think went for about 20 yards. So that was beyond encouraging. I'm beyond excited to see how this evolves because once again, not only was he not out there that much, but this was also against the best pass defense the Bills have seen. And he was able to get one of the better producing games out of a wide receiver the Bills have had all year. And when you couple that with Shakir doing what he did, when you couple that with Coleman doing what he did, and then Dalton Kincaid today, that catch he had on the sideline going up and get it, an unreal grab. I think you saw today, every version of those 4 guys, what you saw today, Rico, is exactly what you want to see out of them consistently. It was a beautiful thing to watch once they got it going.
It's scary because, like, this was the first time they put something together with Cooper in, and Cooper just got here. So imagine Coop with a little more time with Allen.
Yeah.
1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month goes in, and now he's on the field all the time. Game changer. You know what I loved a lot today? I love that they put him in the slot. He is going to eat in the slot, absolutely eat in the slot. And him in the slot, you got Khalil in the slot. This is what this offense needed. Good job, Brandon Beane. You could have went and overpaid for Devontae, which would not have been a bad idea either to get Devontae, not the money part, but getting Devontae. But Amari Cooper, just as good, not as good, just is good enough to do the big differences on this team. And he just shuts up and sits down. I saw him on the sideline. Everybody talk about how good it is. He just,
dude, yeah, he is all business, man. Even when he scored, if you notice, me and my dad were talking about it. He scored, and his momentum took him to the stands. No interaction with the fans or anything. It's just back to the sideline. Like, this is a guy, and I know people were looking at that kind of negatively. He doesn't want to be there, this and that. That's not the case. This is who he is. The other day, Nick Saban was sitting down with Pat McAfee. They were talking about this trade, and Nick Saban said throughout Amari Cooper's time in Alabama, he does not think that him and Cooper had a single conversation. The guy keeps to himself. The guy's all business, no drama. This is what you want. And that's exactly what you're going to get. It's not a negative thing that he's not the rah-rah guy. He's the go out and get it done guy. And look, in a week, he hasn't even been on the team for a week here, and he already went out and had damn near the highest producing game a receiver has had all year for these Bills going into it. And that was with very minimal snaps compared to what you can expect. Right. Yeah, I've been seeing this comparison. It's hilarious. I don't know how Amari Cooper laughs, but if he laughs just like Kawhi Leonard, it'd be the exact same situation. But I absolutely love it, man. I love it. And I think that just having that one more guy is going to do wonders for Josh Allen in terms of being able to spread the football down around the field.
Listen, it's going to do wonders for Kincaid. I mean, you saw just a little bit today. If you get him on the field a lot more, I mean, I saw 2 DBs go with Coop. And then it opened up for everybody else. So, like, the more this brother gets on the field, buddy, the league is in trouble. The league is in trouble. Listen, I got one more thing. I got one thing to say. Sweet baby Ray Davis. Man, ladies and gentlemen, that boy is a certified dog. Certified dog. Dude, 5 carries today and ended up being our leading rusher. 5 carries today with our leading rusher. Folks, this might be, some people say hyperbole. Some people might think this is just me being a hater. But I'm going to tell you this right now, man. Ray Davis should be splitting the touches with James Cook going forward. I'm not capping. I'm not just saying it just because I've been saying it since the offseason that this guy's going to be nice. They should be splitting the time down the middle. And I mean it because Davis is that good. He can pass block. He can catch in the backfield. You saw it last week. You saw it today. And he hits the hole hard, bro. He hits it. Great explosion. All of that. I'm not saying that he should take the job. I'm saying this to split it down the middle. Now, you guys get hungrier. Who wants more touches? Show me. You're not just going to take the touches now, James Cook. My boy's ready to go. Ray Davis. And I love James Cook because James Cook gives you a different element of the game. He's a slasher and dasher. He can take it for 60. You love to see it. But Ray Davis today and last week, boy, give that boy his touches, man. That boy's a certified dog. Keep playing with that boy, man.
I got no argument against it. That man's been moving different. Every opportunity he's been given, he's been taking advantage of it. He is terrific. Not only is he quick, he never goes down on the first hit. He can catch, like you said, too. He seems to do a hell of a job of finding the hole. Like earlier in the game when he had his first carry there, and it was a massive run right up the middle where he had about a 20-yard gain or so. Even with the massive hole, he was able to get an additional 10 yards by navigating through the 2 defenders that were deeper in the middle of the field. The guy's got great vision, great quickness, elusive as hell. He's not easy to tackle. Man, how lucky are we to have that 2-headed monster? I have no problem with what you're saying here at all. He should certainly be getting more touches because every time he touches the ball, he's making an impact.
And it is clear and evident. And I don't know if James Cook got hurt again, but James got 12 touches today for 32 yards, 2.7 yards a pop. This is where I have a problem with Joe Brady, though. So Joe Brady, you got to know that the type of run plays that you call is great for Ray Davis. You have to figure out what works for James Cook so he can be maximized. Maximize what he's supposed to do. Now, I don't know if you change anything or it's just a matter of who feels the game a little better at this point. James Cook is also coming back from turf toe, I believe. So I'll give him that grace a little bit, but lovely to have a 1-2 punch in those two guys. Big shout out. Love what I'm seeing. This is massive. This is good. This is good for Josh. This is good for Cooper. This is good for this Bills team. Having a run game that you have to watch out for. Gotta give them credit.
Speaking of Josh, like if we're talking about giving credit here, we cannot go another minute here without talking about this man being 7 games through the year without a single interception. This is insane. Josh Allen's coming up an 18 interception year. We are 7 games in now. Josh Allen has a 12 passing touchdown to 0 interception ratio. I'm pretty sure it's never been done before. Me and my dad were talking earlier. We were trying to figure out the exact stat, but I'm almost positive that this has never been done before. And if it has, it's been maybe once throughout the last century or so. The clip that he is on right now is absolutely insane. And it factors in a couple of things. One, there has been some luck involved, of course. I mean, you got to have luck. Like earlier today, Mahomes threw a pick. It was a batted ball at the line that got tipped up and a D lineman picked it off. That's not going to be a consistent play, right? But those are the things that have not been factoring in against the Bills. So there's some luck involved, sure, right? But also his ability, I think more often than not, we didn't see it as much in the Texans game, which is why it was so frustrating. He only had 9 completions. It was a really frustrating watch. But throughout the majority of his time under Joe Brady, since he took over last year at the midway point, Josh Allen has been a far more productive, higher IQ quarterback. And you're not seeing him put this team in tough positions. And when they're doing what he's been doing, which is efficiency just about every game, not turning the ball over while they continue to run the ball well, while the defense continues to play the way that they are, that's championship football. Not turning the ball over is a major factor. And they turned the ball over far too much last year, and they were still a play away from going to the AFC Championship. I don't expect him to be able to continue to go every single game without a pick. Eventually, it's going to happen at some point, but we're already at the point now, Rico, where there's no way in hell he sniffs what he was at last year. I don't even think he gets to half of that. There's no way, in my opinion, the way we're going right now, that he can throw more than 10 interceptions. He would have to have almost a pick a game here. He would legitimately have to throw an interception a game from here on out the rest of the year to get to double-digit interceptions. That cannot be overstated. This guy, with as much as he does on the field, to not add that extra element in, which has always been the biggest argument against him, is insane. And when you watch what he was able to do today in the second half while still continuing to not turn the ball over, this is one of the most underrated aspects of this team. I feel like not enough people are talking about it because all they ever want to bring up with Josh Allen when they're shitting on him is the turnovers. The guy has 1 fumble on the year, was in the first game, and they haven't turned the ball over once since. It's crazy.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because like that's all they want to talk about, but they can't talk about it this year. They cannot. And even when they love to bring it up, you're bringing it up last year. And guess what? One of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback right now that's playing right now, Pat Mahomes, was just shy underneath Josh Allen. And then now you go to this year, Josh Allen apparently, according to, who did I say? Was it Bryson? According to last year, Bryson Reed says he had 6 picks last year, and 4 of them came in that Jets game.
Oh, that was 4. Yes, that's what I meant. Yeah, exactly.
4 of them came in that Jets game, or 3 of them are in a fumble. I can't remember exactly. But now you're 7 games in, and no turnovers, and he's playing good football. He's not forcing it. And right now, today, boy, it felt like these guys were, and that was a good defense, by the way. It felt like these guys were 15 yards down the line, 16, 25. There's a 40-yarder for you. This was looking good. It just took a bit of time for Joe Brady to wake up. But once he started to get really in his bag and Josh got warm, what an absolute fantastic day to have in the office. Let me say back more so what we did in the office, right? Third downs, we weren't good. I touched on that just a little bit. But one thing that I can say that this offense has been on point is red zone offense. Oh, yeah. Once we get in the red zone, we're solid, folks. This game, we went 4 for 6 in the red zone. 4 for 6 in the red zone. We could have put more things together, right? That touchdown, so we thought, to Keon Coleman on the sideline, the back shoulder catch, just a little bit.
That was, because you want to know what sucks about that one, Rico? If that touchdown would have counted, Josh Allen would have tied Mahomes for the most touchdowns through through the first 100 games of his career. He's going to finish 1 shy. That would have been the tire. And that was such an incredible play by Coleman, man. Such an incredible play.
That is tough because you're always going to be chasing Pat Mahomes. It's just what it is. You're chasing him for rings. You're chasing him for those, so for individual titles. And then 100 games, you didn't get it because it was called back. And you're like, just 1 shy in that 100 games. So now we got to wait till like 125 or something like that. But either or, I love what I was able to see. I think everyone loved what they were able to see from the potential of this offense. The potential is so great. But once they get in the red zone, it's business. Now you got James Cook, Ray Davis, Kincaid is an issue. Then you had Keon for the back shoulder. And now you bring in a route runner in Amari Cooper. Bro, don't let us get in the red zone. And I didn't even talk about Josh Allen using his legs to get in the end zone. Fam, this is you couldn't have asked for a better time to get these things going. So big shout out to these guys, and I'm loving what I'm seeing. Love what I'm seeing from these Bills.
Yeah, they didn't even have to run Josh Allen today, which was nice. I always like the Bills' ability to dominate offensively without having to have him run into harm's way. Those are always the best type of games. But, I see the comments and I feel the same way. Look, we just watched the game where for 30 minutes, the Bills looked bad against a bad team and they dominated a pretty bad team. We get it, right? Like, we understand that this performance isn't happening against the Ravens, the Chiefs, the best teams of the world. We understand that, and we're taking that with a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, these Bills right now can only play the schedule that's in front of them. And this same Titans team, the Jets should have lost to them, right? This same Titans team, as with many of these other poorly coached or poorly ran franchises, they're going to find ways to sneak up on teams every now and then. The Bills do a hell of a job of not allowing that to happen. They might allow it to happen for a quarter or a half, but they always seem to get it in gear. They always seem to dominate. And would you rather them not dominate than just win marginally and then take this into the more tougher games throughout the year? Right. This does have to continue against the better teams. Like you're watching today, the Packers take on the Texans or the Lions take on the Vikings, and those teams all look legit and they're going head to head. But as this portion of the season unfolds here, this is why I think it's crucial. The Bills have a great opportunity for about a month here to build an insane amount of confidence in chemistry against teams in which they're all going to be favored over. Not only that, they can get healthier and they can get, Cooper involved. They can get these guys more touches like Coleman, right, who's still trying to find his footing. And you're seeing him get better and better and better here. This was one of those games to me where the Bills once again continue to prove that they're far closer to the top of the league than they are towards the bottom. It's just going to have to come together later on in the year against these better opponents. And you have to think that it will, just because they got smoked by the only thing we have right now. This is the reality here. The only sample size we have right now on the year is the Texans game, which you can chalk that loss up to a variety of things. Josh Allen playing terrible, the offense in general playing terrible, the coaching being awful, and they still should have taken that game to overtime at the least. Yes, they got blown out by the Ravens. Unarguable, right? We don't have that great of a sample size thus far. So I'm not ready to sit here and say they can only do it against these bad teams. Yep. I'm saying that continue to do it against these bad teams. And I think once the tougher portion of the schedule comes along, these guys are going to be in a much better position than they were against the Ravens to be able to compete at the highest level and then take that into the playoffs.
So just a heads up, with the Texans losing today to Green Bay,
yep.
This obviously props up the Bills a little bit. Obviously, we lost a head-to-head against Texans, but that was a big one. Obviously, Cincinnati taking care of Cleveland. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. Cleveland's just a mess. Miami loses to the Colts. My goodness, they're done. Miami's done.
It's over. I don't even think they shouldn't even bring Tua back. What's the point of bringing Tua back?
There's absolutely no point. They're done. Finito. Don't even bother. It's over with. I mean, right now you're losing to the freaking Colts with A.R. Richardson. You kidding me? Nah, you're done. And apparently Watson's out for the season.
Oh, yeah. Deshaun Watson tore his ACL. You didn't see?
He tore his ACL.
Or his Achilles or one of the, he popped it. Oh, yeah. It ruptured. Carted off.
Boy.
It's over. The Cleveland fan base, just when I think the Bills are as tortured as it gets, I don't even know if it's on the same level as Cleveland. It's unbelievable.
Dude, Deshaun Watson, Achilles, you lose your best receiver, and then you lose the guy that you paid $230 million guaranteed.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's truly insane.
And watch this. Go ahead.
I was just going to say about tonight. If the Jets lose tonight, the Bills would literally have to go out every week, take their pants off, and take a dump on the field for them to lose this division. That's where it's at right now. That's where it's at right now.
And here's the crazy thing, right? They've been wondering, why are you keeping Watson in when he's been playing so terribly? Just put Jameis Winston in. And now you have and watch now the difference happens. You're going to see Jameis Winston start putting some things together. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you never know. But golly, the Bills have a grand opportunity. We just got to keep cashing in and putting these wins together, and away we go. So let me ask you this. So you're watching this game today, and you're seeing Amari Cooper, trying to find his way onto the squad and really do well. But the storyline, and we've been joking around it because I'm talking about new additions. There was other new addition. We brought in a kicker. Kicker came in. Apparently there was a mini competition between Tyler Bass and thicker than a Snicker kicker.
Thicker.
And Tyler Bass won that mini competition in practice. Let's talk about what Tyler Bass was able to do today. And one thing that stood out to me, Tyler Bass goes out, and the roar of the fans rallying behind Tyler Bass. It could have easily been boo, right? Easily. But the fact that Bills fans were like, you know what? Let's show this man some love. Let's see if this helps him out. And he looked crisp today. 6 for 6 on kicks, 2 for 2 in field goals, and 4 extra point kicks. When you saw the love the fans were giving him, what came to your mind listening to all this? You're like, all right, let's see what's going on here.
That doesn't surprise me. This is the same fan base that gave Scott Norwood a standing ovation after he went wide right to lose the Super Bowl for these Bills. I mean, this is a fan base that's going to do exactly what you saw. It's funny. I saw someone tweeting about it, like, we should all do this. And then that's what clicked in my mind when I saw it happen. It goes back to what you and I were talking about. We don't want Tyler Bass to fail. We're rooting for Tyler Bass. We like Tyler Bass. Like, he did an interview this past weekend. How can you not like that kid, right? Like, he owned up to what's going on. He understands, hey, this is a results-driven business, and I'm not giving the results, right? And I understand that my job is going to be on the line because of that. He was very understanding of the reason why they brought in competition. And so we're all rooting for Tyler Bass, not only for our own interest, but because he's a likable guy, and you know that he's capable of being a top kicker. It's a reason why they extended him. It's a reason why they paid him. Now, today does nothing for me, Rico, in that regard. Tyler Bass making all 4 of his extra points and making a couple of 30-yard field goals, to me, that doesn't inspire confidence in me. That's the bare minimum of what a kicker should be doing in this league. It's going to be the moments when it's a 50-yarder and it's a crucial game, and that ball has to go through the uprights for them to be within the game or win the game or whatever. That's when it's going to matter. I have my confidence in Bass going out for a 30-yarder. I'm not shaking in my boots. When I start getting nervous is when Tyler Bass walks out there for a kick that Kaimi Fairbairn or Harrison Bucker or Justin Tucker drills 99 out of 100 times from 50 plus yards. That is what I'm nervous about. Luckily for these Bills, we're 7 games in and it hasn't gotten to the point where that's needed to be a necessity, but we're not going to be able to judge Tyler Bass fairly in terms of how we truly view the future with him until those moments occur, until we see him cash in on him. But with that said, he did miss an extra point last week. He made all of them this week, and he did make all of his kicks this week. That's awesome. But to me, it doesn't do anything in terms of, oh, Tyler Bass is back. We need to see consistency, regardless of the distance of the kick, Rico, but we also need to see him deliver in the moments in which the Bills are going to need him the most.
Here's the big thing. And here's a fair point. That's the bare minimum.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't pay you all that money for us to be satisfied with you making these 29, 32, 34 yard kicks. When it comes time to it, when we really need you to step up, this is when we need you to step up. But I will say this, that little bit of encouragement can be the difference that does lead to him kicking those 51, 56, because you know what? This team, this crowd is behind me. This team needs me, and they still love me. Because some things, man, psychologically, it messes with you. When people, totally. I don't know if Mike's getting that out, but psychologically, that can mess with you. So if the fans are behind you and they're encouraging you, and it looked crisp today, we might need him next week against Seattle. That's a good offense.
The way Seattle looked today, we're going to really need him. Seattle rolled today. Rolled.
We might need you to hit a 56-yarder. Get on your horse and bang that thing. And maybe this week kind of transfers into next week and we get a different style kicker. But it also helps when you got a kicker on your tail. Say, hey, man, I'm just waiting for my opportunity.
Yeah.
You missed another kick. It's your ass.
I think the encouragement's awesome. Like that wasn't lost on me at all. What you said, me and my dad literally sat and talked about it because it is not only a testament to how awesome this fan base is. I mean, we don't need any more evidence of that, but it psychologically, it's exactly what you just said. When you know that the fan base is rallying behind you, that's critical. And I think that is not lost on him either. Now, let's see what that leans into, because Tyler Bass has an opportunity here, as all these guys do. I mean, we talked about this in the offseason, and unfortunately it didn't work out, but we talked about this with Chase Claypool. I remember us having this conversation where it was like, hey, it's not gone right for you in a variety of ways before coming into the Bills situation here. Are you going to be able to capitalize on another opportunity here? Because if not, you could be done. right? And we didn't see that capitalized on, unfortunately, for him. But Tyler Bass, you could make the same argument here. You're still the starting kicker of this football team, and the Bills don't want to get rid of you. Financially, they really don't want to get rid of you. And you have the every opportunity in the world to go out there and make sure they don't get rid of you. It ultimately is all up to you. And I think that encouragement could go a long way. I hope it does, because once again, I'll say it, nobody wants to come on here or on Twitter or anywhere and say, get rid of Bass. We all like Tyler Bass a lot. So I'm loving that the encouragement seemed to be something that was noticeable today. And I hope that he noticed it too. And I hope that continues to be built upon, because it's not the 30-yarders. It's not the extra points. It's the big game moments that we're going to need him for. And that's when we hope that he earns the ability to remain the kicker of these Buffalo Bills.
Man, listen, great job by my guy, Tyler Bass, for now, because we're going to need you. It's a long season. We're going to need you. And this is where you get to kind of forget about these last 6 games. I mean, we're on to the next one. But now, before we switch over, I want to stick on special teams. And one thing that I will give shout out to, Bruce Nolan said this, right? And I'm not much to give shout out to a lot of this other cast, but this one he deserves that one. He said, how big of a acquisition has Brandon Codrington been to this team? And
I was impressed with him today.
Ain't nobody talking about it, and I'm glad Bruce brought that up, because that's a fact. He hasn't been one, taking it back to the house. Like, it's not about that. It's the comfort of knowing. It's like no different than, like, if when my like I said, my daughter, right? My eldest daughter, when she was like, Dad, I'm gonna go to a friend's house. And I say, yeah, cool, go to a friend's house. And she's like, I'm gonna take the car, right? As a parent, you're like, all right, take the car, go ahead, I'll see you when you get back. There's no greater feeling than when you hear the door unlock and your daughter's home and you're like, oof, I can chill, right? Brandon Codrington being back there, we don't have to worry about who the heck is back there dropping footballs. Codrington is your safe bet. He allows you to kind of, who's back there? Oh, Codrington? I can just chill. Okay, so where are we going to get this? Josh is going to have an opportunity to get this football and we'll be good to go. Not having to wonder, does that guy bobble it? Or do we have to get Josh didn't get a chance to get on the field. Codrington is safe. And not only that, he's on the brink. He's absolutely on the brink of taking one back to the house. So I'm excited about the special teams, especially on the return side of the football. Big shout out to Brandon Codrington, boy. That boy nice like that. So we love to hear
plays today. I was impressed with him today. Today it seemed like one of the first games where it was really noticeable that he was out there, right? Where you're like, man, like that kickoff return he had where he was dead to rights in the middle of the field. He was able to reverse it back to the opposite side, get up to the 40-yard line. Definitely was impressed with him today. And that's what you love to see. Like when you have a game like today where you had all cylinders clicking, you had the special teams clicking. We just talked about Bass. You got the return game kicking. I mean, I thought Sam Martin had a perfect punt in the first half and there was nobody there to field it. The ball bounced right at the 3-yard line. They could have kept it out of the end zone, but I thought he did well. And then, of course, you had the dominance on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively, in the second half. So these are the games you love to see. I know it wasn't a full 60-minute duration, but for the majority of this game today, you got a lot of solid play from all 3 phases.
And speaking of all 3 phases, let's get right into the one phase that we have not talked about yet, and that's the defense.
Yeah.
The defense in the second half. Let me just get right to it, man. I don't know where to begin with. If it's you know what? I'm going to start with Groot. Greg freaking Rousseau.
Dominant.
Rousseau was an absolute menace today. Look, Mason Rudolph wanted nothing to do with number 50. And those two are just as tall as each other. Mason Rudolph's a big boy. He's like 6'5". Greg Rousseau had 6 quarterback hits. Bro, he was relentless. He was all over Mason Rudolph. He was all over Petit Frere, which is ironic because Greg Rousseau made Petit Frere absolutely look like Petit Frere. And whoever doesn't know what Petit Frere means, it means little brother in French. What an ironic name. And Greg Rousseau absolutely made him look like the little brother and gave him a little noogie. Yo, get out the way so I can get to that quarterback. Gregory freaking Rousseau was a name to be reckoned with, and he made it a point to be absolutely disruptive. He was absolutely disruptive. They had no answer for him, and you can see it. Second half absolutely opened up. Groot was tearing that ass up today, and you got to give a shout out to Groot. This defense came alive in the second half. The first guy that stood out to me was my guy, Groot. Greg Rousseau was a baller today. Love to see it, and we need to see that going forward. And we didn't even get Von Miller back. But Greg Rousseau, big shout out to my guy, Greg Rousseau. Anybody else stand out to you on that defense?
Well, for starters, it felt like Greg Rousseau had the opposite end of the magnet in which Mason Rudolph had on his helmet because he was attached to him all game. That was a dominant performance from Greg Rousseau from top to bottom. Incredible day. I thought Dorian Williams played really well today, but I thought the stud of the defense outside of Greg Rousseau was Terrell Bernard. I mean, I understand he got hurt later on in the game. Like we said, we think it's going to be fine. We hope it's going to be fine. But my God, when that guy is in there, he wreaks havoc on every play. He is a ball hawk. That dude he's pretty much what you would get out of Matt Milano. That's why when those two are out there together, and I know we don't have very much in terms of a sample size of that, but you get a lot of the same qualities that you get from Matt Milano. What that is 110 miles an hour every single snap. Terrell Bernard is a stud. That dude is an absolute beast. He is certainly one of the cornerstones of this defense, and you definitely notice the presence of him being out there as opposed to him not being out there. That guy is all over the ball on every given snap. And it just feels like every week he makes one or two big plays for this defense outside of the little things he does on every single snap. That dude, man, Terrell Bernard's an absolute beast. And he continues to show us that he really is up there, in my opinion. When he's healthy, he's one of the best linebackers in this league.
So you speak of Terrell Bernard, and I love that the fact you mentioned Terrell Bernard and then I look at Dorian Williams and what a piece he's been and how much he's improved from his rookie year. And I'm loving seeing what I'm seeing out of him. And Dorian Williams, our leading tackler today. Our leading tackler today was Mr. Dorian Williams. And I absolutely love the fact that he's able to develop and do what he's been doing, because if we have to lose Mr. Bernard yet again for some time, you can count on Dorian Williams and Balen Spector. I mean, but more so Mr. Dorian Williams, but Terrell Bernard, what a stud that guy is. He's an absolute stud, and I can't wait. And I'm waiting for it. It'll probably be rusty a little bit, but when Milano comes back and you have Bernard and Milano together, golly, man. Like, I mean, I'm not one to make those comments, but this table is about to raise a couple inches. I'm telling you right now, man. That's how
I'll make that comment all day long. I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that.
So, big shout out to the defense. His defense came through. But Greg Rousseau certainly stood out. Dwayne Carter stood out today. It was really good to have Ed Oliver back and doing his thing. Overall, AJ Epinesa, though, man.
Yeah, you know what? It seems like every week you're getting a big play or two from him.
Yes, you are.
You're really starting to notice him more, I think, than you were in the past. I've really been impressed pretty much throughout the whole year here with AJ Epinesa's presence. Today, God bless him, he should have had a pick behind the line of scrimmage.
Oh, my God.
Mason Rudolph. Oh, he fired that ball right into his hands, Rico. But AJ Epinesa, he was dominant last week against Aaron Rodgers. Dominant. And this week, again, he had a sack again today. I think we've been getting some real solid, consistent play from AJ Epinesa. There's some guys up on this front line. And mind you, this is without Von Miller on the field, who had a sack a game before he got suspended, right? But you're getting every week between Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau, and AJ Epinesa, you are getting pretty consistent, solid frontline play. And when you factor that in with what Teron Johnson's been doing, I know Taylor Rapp didn't play all that well today, but my God, find me a better player in the National Football League than what Taylor Rapp did this past weekend. So I'll give him I'll give him a pass this weekend for not having the greatest performance. You're getting a lot of really solid play out of pretty much every layer of this defense right now, Rico. And AJ Epinesa is right in that, in my opinion.
You know what? It is only going to get better. It's only getting better. These guys are getting warmed up. It seems like he's a little juiced up. He got his contract, albeit a small one, but he got a contract nonetheless to show that we actually like this guy. We see him part of this team, and he's showing just that. I will say this though, like looking at this defense and seeing what the front four has been able to do, seeing our linebacking, what the linebacking squad has been able to do, the return of Taylor Rapp. But ladies and gentlemen, another play being in the right place, right time by Damar Hamlin, yet again, making a play. Unbelievable. He's incredibly slow. Golly. But he's in the right place at the right time. And it was, I don't know how big a rumor this was, but there was conversation about Brandon Beane not being done in terms of making acquisitions by the trade deadline. And allegedly, linebacker and safety were the two positions he was looking at to acquire in before the trade deadline by I believe November 5th. So safety was one of the questions, and they prefer him to be safety number 3 rather than the starting safety. Now, whether true or not, who knows? But the fact of the matter is this: that brother got 2 interceptions this year.
I know, I
2
love it.
regular season interceptions, right place, right time, and don't look for him to take it back for 6. He ain't doing it. He's gonna get caught. He ain't. Speed is not part of his game. However, where he is, where the ball's supposed to be, that's where he's been. And big shout out to our guy Damar Hamlin, man. He's making the most of his situation. He's making the most of being a starter, and he had some good tackles today. This brother was playing really well. So love to see it. Love to see guys flourish in this defense. This defense absolutely came alive in the second half. Babbage or McDermott, whichever the two, they came alive. They're a little bit more aggressive, getting after Mason Rudolph. They turned the heat up. Exactly what they did. They turned the heat up, and Mason Rudolph was like, all right, man, I'm going to revert to Will Levis and throw some BS. But for the most part, we really clamped them on, and that defense came through. So we just got to stay healthy. And Bernard being banged up does not help because he is an integral piece of this defense. But we'll see how that all shapes out. By the way, my man said Jamal Adams is available. He got cut not too long ago. So whether they decide to go that route,
well, I'll tell you, a route they need to go to, and it has to be brought up here. This run defense is a liability. This might be one of the worst run defenses in the league right now.
You think so?
Yeah, it's very bad. It's very bad. You saw it early on in the game. I mean, these guys are averaging 5 yards a clip on this D right now. I don't know why, because it feels like there are moments where they can really pull it together, but over a consistent time span here, the defense collectively against the run has not been great. Early on in the game here, Tony Pollard was all over him. Last week, Breece Hall finally had a decent running performance. The Jets had the worst run offense in the league going into the game last week. So I don't know what exactly has to happen because it feels like they have the pieces, especially up front, and they also have it in the linebacking unit too. I feel like they have the guys, but defensively, if I have to emphasize one thing in the locker room or in the practice facility throughout the week here, if I'm McDermott, man, it is getting on these guys in the run department because it's going to be the games where if your offense can't sustain a big lead like the Bills wound up getting out to in the second half, they're not able to stop the intermediate pass game behind the line of scrimmage and the run game. That seems to be the biggest Achilles heel for this team. And when you look at games like the Ravens game, where Derrick Henry's just able to kill you early and the Bills offense isn't able to get to a lead and they're continuously able to run the ball, this Bills defense is really at a disadvantage. So I don't know what has to happen between now and whenever. There has got to be an emphasis on this run defense being more effective because it just feels like this defense at any given moment can play some of the best in the league, but it's those moments right there, especially early on in the games, Rico, I'm noticing, where they're really struggling against running backs, regardless of who it is, whether it's Derrick Henry or whether it's Breece Hall, Tony Pollard. It feels like everybody's capable of having a solid day against this run D right now.
I will push back and disagree. I don't think that our run defense is as poor as you think it may be. Like, we'll remove Derrick Henry. Like I've been preaching, I think we've both been preaching this. We're a very bend but don't break type defense. And James Conner started off well, and then we shut it down. So you're gonna get some yardage. I thought today we were excellent on run defense. Tony Pollard, 16 carries for 61 yards, 3.8 yards a pop. We kept these guys to 89 yards passing, running because we were able to stifle them. They couldn't run the football, so they had to revert to quick dump drops and here and there. So to me, I thought the defense, the run game plan was solid, and I think it's going to continue to be better, especially now that we're healthy. Teron Johnson being back. Don't forget the times that we got
could be a key too. That could be a key, of course,
for sure. The times that we were gashed, guys were missing. We missed some guys in here. Teron Johnson gets hurt the first game. Totally changes the landscape of the game. Bernard being out, that changes. Now that we've been healthy, like today, 89 yards rushing. Last week, Breece Hall went off. I get it. He had a few big-time plays, but that's a big-time back, right?
But how much of that 89 rush yards, Rico, had to do with the fact that the Bills wound up going up they went on a 34-0 run offensively? I mean, the Titans weren't able to stick with the run game. They just couldn't.
This is where the offense has to complement the defense. In this case, we did, right? But we've been so inconsistent offensively that we keep giving back the opportunity to the op to keep running plays. Like today was one of them. We had what, 5 3-and-outs, and we keep giving them back the opportunity to keep running the football on us. At one point, we had, I think it was like 19 time possession to 10 minutes. So there's not a whole lot we can do. Pierre says we need to clean it up a bit, but I don't agree about the run defense being a liability. Derrick Henry destroyed that for us. The stats for us, excuse me. We trend to figure out a way to stop the run when needed for the most part, and we do. We definitely do.
That's the key. See, I got to push back on that because it's not just Derrick Henry. Breece Hall had the best game of the year this year. Tony Pollard early on was running really well. They had to bail on it because all of a sudden they blinked and the Bills had 34 points and they couldn't keep running the football. That's why you got Mason Rudolph in his first start this year throwing 40 balls, right? You also had in the beginning of the game, week 1 for Arizona, James Conner was running the ball really well, right? But all of those other games, like the Jacksonville game, Achane got off to a good start against the Bills, right? But what happened in all of those games? The Bills' offense started piling up points, and the team had to go away from the run. In the games in which they didn't, the Texans did not have Joe Mixon, so that was a factor. That's why they didn't run it as much. The only other game we have is Baltimore, and I understand that Derrick Henry is the outlier, but I don't know if it would have mattered. They still would have been able to run the ball exceptionally well. And even if they don't have Derrick Henry, they got Lamar Jackson who can run it as good as anybody. So to me, the key in that it's not that they are not a liability. To me, out of all of the units right now that are within this Bills, that make up this Bills team, the run defense certainly is one of their biggest liabilities. I don't know how you could really argue any other portion of this team being as ineffective as they have been early on in the year. But the key that Pierre just said to me is ultimately the reason why I think a lot of people might not think it's that bad. And it's the bend but don't break. And he just said what he had just said at the end there, where it's essentially like not letting it. What did he say here? We step up when needed the most. That's what this Bills defense is incredibly good at. They seem to allow just about anybody, whether it's Mason Rudolph or whether it's Mahomes, they let you get down the field. But this Bills D, and it's a great point he brings up, and I do agree with this, regardless of whether they let you run on them or throw on them, whatever, they really do seem to step up when you're in scoring territory. So they can continue to do that because at the end of the day, they're not all of a sudden going to be able to flip it on and be the best run D in the league. But if they don't allow it to get them into the end zone and they don't allow it to ultimately affect the scoreboard, which it really hasn't other than the Ravens game, then it really won't be that big of a deal. The offense has to continue to score points. That'll ultimately factor into it. But if the D can continue to hold up in the biggest moments when the scoring opportunities are on the line, it'll eradicate the holes that I think are currently visible in the run defense right now.
And it's a great point because there are some moments that we do allow gashes here and there, but we lost some key components to the defense. So this is going to be a very much bend but don't break. We've been like that for some time now. I mean, it's evident that, I'm looking at the statistics right now to see like where we stand in terms of rush defense. I mean, obviously the Bills are very good at pass defense. We're number 4 in the league right now, as of right now. But for when it comes to the rush defense, let me just take a quick look here where we're at right now. So
I got it right here, Rico. They're 21st in the league in rush defense.
In the league right now.
They're allowing 140 yards a game on the ground.
Yeah, so we definitely do have to be better, but I just don't think it's a liability. I think we haven't been doing our job on the offensive side of the ball. A lot of times our offense is able to mask what our defense has been able to because now we've made that offense one-dimensional. They have to pass. So in order to play you hear what's his face say it all the time, complementary football, right? Offense got to do what they got to do. You can't go 5 and out and then give the ball back. Of course they're going to run the freaking football. Keep that offense on the sideline. So it's gonna look bad, but at the end of the day, the dub is what matters. Now, can we be better? Absolutely. There's no question. I'm not gonna deny that. But
that's the key right there. What you just said. If this Bills offense can put the other team in passing situations, they're set up for success every week, no matter who they're playing. But
sure, our offense has to be better.
But that goes back to the beginning of the game where they can't start out like if they were to start the way they did today. Like, go and look at the latter half of the schedule here where they have to play the Niners, the Lions, the Chiefs. If they start out like that, they're going to have a hell of a time digging themselves out of it. You saw that against the Ravens, but you also saw it against the Texans. The Bills got down, 17-3 in that game, and they were only able to muster 20 points. If it was a different start to that football game, then perhaps the outcome of that game is different. the start to the game, to me, is going to dictate the other team's ability to run. The Bills do not want teams running on them. They have got to be able to start out better offensively. Therefore, the other team won't be able to continuously stick with the run game, which I think right now is the biggest detriment to the Bills defense. If the other team is throwing, as you just mentioned, one of the best passing defenses in the league, this Bills defense set up for success.
I will say this though, that all that being said, and I'm like, it's not bad. It's not that bad of a liability. Offense has to help. We're playing a very good team in running the football, and a very physical team in the Seattle Seahawks next week with Kenneth Walker Jr. And Kenneth Walker Jr. is no slouch. He can run the ball. They got Charbonnet on the other side, so it's a very physical team, very much like the Baltimore Ravens. So this is where our DTs, like my man Nandi just said, our DTs are going to have to be better. I mean, we need bigger DTs because we're not good in the run defense. I mean, it could help to shore up that line. I mean, DQ was supposed to be, Daquan Jones was supposed to be, a big piece coming back. And I get it. Ed Oliver, him coming back from injury. And that's another thing, man. We've sustained injuries in some terrible spots. So we haven't been fully healthy. But regardless of those things, we do have to be better on the run because we face Seattle next. That runs the ball extremely well. Then we play the Dolphins again. The Dolphins, we should be able to handle the Dolphins handedly. And then we face the Colts that got Jonathan Taylor that runs the ball very well.
Yes, but the Colts defense is exceptionally bad. So that would be one of those games where it's like you can take away the run offensively. That to me is one of those type of games that right? Then this next coming game is the toughest of the three, in my opinion. Seattle looked terrific today. They won 34-14 over the Falcons, who were 4-2 going into that game.
Okay.
So that game's going to be way tougher than I think people are thinking. It's in Seattle, and Seattle is getting healthier defensively. And when they're healthy defensively, they're a pretty damn good defense, but they haven't been healthy. So that's why they've been getting kind of carved. They're finally getting their health back defensively. So that game is going to be tougher. I will say DK Metcalf carted off today in that game. I don't know what the deal is there, but they certainly have some pieces. I think that game next week will be tougher than advertised, but I think these next three games, all three, the Bills will be favored to win, and as they should be. I think they're the better team in all three of these upcoming games.
That's going to be a tough one, man. DK carted off. Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what happened, but a cart in any situation, obviously not good. So,
and we're on the road. We're on the road going West Coast.
Tough place to play. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. So you got the West Coast situation. It's a tough place to play. It's going to be a tough game. That's going to be a tough game for the Bills.
Oh, they're saying it's a knee injury, so carted off. Oh, you don't want to hear that, but that's, unfortunately, an advantage for the Bills not having to be that physical specimen. That guy bullies people on the block. But that being said, not a bad day today for the Bills. They came out and absolutely took care of business. I just hate the fact that it wasn't a full from quarter one to quarter four ass whooping. We only started to wake up, truly wipe the cobwebs and wipe the crust from our eyes in the second half. So big kudos to obviously Sean McDermott preparing these guys in the second, saying, here's what we need to do, so on and so forth, because he takes the blame for when we play terribly, but you got to give him a little credit for when these halftime adjustments are made. It just sucks that we keep having to make these halftime adjustments and we don't get off to a fast start. So the script that we're playing here, it needs to be better. There's not a good enough script right now because every script seems to be, coming out flat. Coming out, no energy, no buzz. So when you play a good team like Seattle and you let these guys get up on us, that could be problematic. So we'll see. We'll see how this all shakes out. We're going to take a couple comments here in super chats. I got GQ Bob comes and says, yo, let's go, fellas. They had us sweating in our boots in that first half.
They did indeed, GQ.
Had 3 tutties today. That boy looked slow today, bro, didn't he?
My man has been doing a hell of a job making the most of every target. It just feels like each target that comes Keon's way, man, you're going to get a highlight. Even today, when the touchdown didn't count, man, that was a one-handed grab with a guy up in his face, and he was a toe, he's a eyelash away from keeping that ball in bounds. But throughout the year here, he's had the majority of all of the Bills' explosive plays. He had the busted coverage catch today. He had that massive catch over the middle where he broke the tackle and was able to get it all the way down the field. Keon Coleman's coming along, man. I'm loving it. And now that you have him alongside a healthy Shakir and Amari Cooper, man, I'm excited right now. I'm excited about the stuff I saw today out of the wide receiver core. No question.
Listen, it's only going to get better with the addition of Amari Cooper. Golly. And I love the fact Amari Cooper is not a rah-rah guy. Bro, yeah. He's just, if I get the ball, I get the ball. If I don't, which I know I am going to get the ball, we good.
He's going to get that
here. Oh, he's going to get the ball. They're going to feed that.
He doesn't need to worry about that.
Listen, he's going to be daddy at the table. Daddy gets the first plate, gets the full plate. The rest, you get the scraps.
Yeah.
You better make the most of these scraps. You better fill up, get some bread, get some butter, fill up on that stuff. But the main meal is going to, when it comes down to it, when these guys come in, because that Seattle defense is good, man. They got some good guys on that squad. So we'll see how that shakes out. Super Lance says, Rico, I'm about to turn up in here. Windsor, Ontario, shout out. Windsor, Ontario in the house. All the way out Windsor, man. All right. I see you, bro. Signified knows. Says Sam Martin is making Bean look really bad for not having the spine and moral courage to stick with the riser through those false allegations.
I don't know. I've seen a couple of comments on Sam Martin today. I didn't really realize it was all that bad of a day for Sam Martin. Did you?
Sam Martin had two shanks, man. He had two major shanks, and we were able to recover and do all right with them defensively. But those shanks were like, I think it was one was like a 28-yarder, and the other one was like a 32-yarder. No, bro.
I think I remember one of them. I don't know. Maybe I guess it didn't stand out to me. Was that in the beginning in the first half?
It was. I think one in the first half, one in the second half.
All right, that's why I think this wasn't one of them blocked.
He had 5 punts today. He averaged 39 yards a freaking punt.
Wasn't one of them blocked?
I can't recall. I'm gonna take a look to see what he was able to do today. But today wasn't a good one, man. Today was
because he had a punt to me today that was about as perfect of a punt as you could have. They did not have a guy in place to down the ball.
It was close. They were close, but he didn't quite get there. But he didn't have a great game, man. He didn't have a great game. Now, to bring up Matt Ariza, folks, my man Signified, we got to let go of this Matt Ariza thing. He ain't coming back to Buffalo. They made that decision, unfortunately, which I totally disagree with. I don't think they should have ever made that decision. They should have is that Pops?
Yep.
Well, tell Pops I said what up, man.
Rico says what up. He's grubbing right now. The fam's chowing right around me. They got no
What's Rico doing?
They got no restraint.
Listen, Rico's enjoying this dub. That's what Rico's doing.
He's enjoying the dub. He's enjoying the W, he said.
I'm liking the Chiefs.
The Chiefs are dominating. My dad's a little pissed off right now. It's very short-lived. The happiness in this house is very short-lived. It's very short-lived.
He says, we got the win, but he's like, what's up with the Chiefs? Are the
yeah, Chiefs. I mean, it's just classic Chiefs. Like, I've been watching it, up in the corner of my eye here. Like, it's just nothing's very impressive. It's just, once again, 14-6 at half against the reigning NFC champs, and like they just win. Like, it's nuts. No one can figure it out.
Let's keep it a buck though. The 49ers are not the same 49ers defense. They're not. They're really not.
No, their defense is not. But that's the weird thing. It's funny. The opposite. It's like the Niners are always built on defense. They haven't been the same. The Chiefs' offense have always been built on offense. They haven't been the same. But we talked about this ad nauseum. You know what it is. There's just no answer to the damn Chiefs. I mean,
we know what it is. Yeah. Laura, great question, because I actually asked myself that question too. So I don't know if you noticed it, Bob, but Laura's coming in and saying, what did you think about taking the ball first and not deferring like we normally do, right?
Yeah.
Was it weather, strategy, or making a statement? Go Buffalo.
I got a theory on that. I think the theory was they knew how bad of a pass offense that this team was, or how bad of a pass offense this team was. I think the strategy was, if we get the ball and go down and score immediately, they're not even going to have the opportunity to get the run game going. That's what I thought the strategy was. Obviously, that entails going down and scoring, and they, of course, went 3-and-out 3 straight drives, so that didn't work out. But I think the mindset was kind of what we just got done talking about a couple of minutes ago. The mindset was, don't even allow these guys to get a semblance of a run game going. Put them down early, make the backup quarterback have to throw with the worst pass offense in the league, and they're already going to be at a major disadvantage. That's how I viewed it. It just obviously didn't work out that way.
Oh man, I have my take on it. Here's why I look at it, and I think I'm gonna be on the same side as you on this. It's like looking at what they had. Okay, we're at home. The crowd is behind us. If we march on this defense, and punch them in the mouth because it's a very good defense, we're gonna pin our ears back and just make a long ass day. And I love what you said, because that's the only strategy I can see happening. Because normally we let the defense kick off, get that ball back for us, and we'll get the ball back in the second half and pile on these boys and let's go. So they did something different. I don't know if they like it though. I think they'll switch back to say,
I don't like it. I personally don't like it. I love the comfort of getting the ball in the second half. I love the comfort of it.
Absolutely love it too. And I love the comfort of getting the defense to set the freaking tone. But it can turn on you when the defense doesn't set the tone. Mm-hmm. And then now your offense has to come in 3 and out. Now, here's another thing too. Thank you for asking that question, Laura, too, right? We've not been great on third downs. We've been terrible this year. So awful. Maybe it was a matter of getting the ball, score first, and now defense is like, okay, they scored, pin the ball back. Let's get this ball back and get them back. There's so many ways you can look at it, but do I like getting the ball back in the second half? Absolutely. Especially because we're a better second half team. Better second half team. Love to see it. We got another super chat coming in.
Gotta mention real quick, by the way, Mahomes just overthrew Xavier Worthy on an 80-yard bomb where he had about a five yards of separation on the guy. Just thought I'd put that out. Mahomes picked off as I speak. Mahomes intercepted the turnover machine that is Patrick Mahomes, picked off by San Francisco, his second pick of the day, as Mahomes continues to stack his league-leading interception numbers. Let's go Niners, baby.
Look at my guy. My guy's like,
come on.
There's a pick.
Let's go.
You're like that baseball announcer that I was watching Juan Soto yesterday. He goes,
"Oh, what a hit that was from Soto! That was crazy."
I'm not a baseball guy, but when he was like, "This is a chess match," he wants that fastball, and he's making him get rid of all his pitches. He wants that fastball, and
dude, Rico, after Mahomes threw the pick, one of the Niners D linemen just popped Mahomes right in the face. That was awesome.
Look at the sheer joy from Z-Bot.
Yeah, anybody who accuses me of being a closet Chiefs fan can sit on this, because I'm telling you right now.
Gotta love it. My man Trevor says, Bills Mafia in Vancouver. Yo, we got Canadians in this thing, man. Salute to y'all, man. Bills Mafia in Vancouver filling up 7 busloads. Fans headed to Seattle for next weekend. So Vancouver's just across the border. How
cool is that?
So they're filing it. Man, I gotta call. Man, I would love to go to that Seattle game. That'd be so amazing. But super chill. Well, good job, Trevor.
You gotta go stay with your fan. I mean, man, you guys should have planned it. That would have been sick.
I know. And my father-in-law we just picked him up at the airport. He just came back from Seattle. Spent a week over there. So I gotta plan it. I gotta plan it better.
Next time it happens, I'll go out there with you and we'll hang with your fans. Man. I've always wanted to go to that stadium.
That'd be a good ass time. So that being said, when we see all this is all said and done, right? We have the Bills at a 34-10 win. What are 5 takeaways that you can come to in this game where you're like, you know what, or something you've learned? 5 things you learned, 5 takeaways, whatever you want. And we can share one, like we can go up to 5, but like we share it as to things that we learned, and we can go back and forth. But what did you learn? One thing you learned in this game, that good or bad, that you can kind of take into like this week and into the next week?
I think the one thing I learned already is that the addition of Amari Cooper is going to be as impactful as we hoped it was. I don't think I'm overstating it. They needed a guy like that. And on a short week where the guy has no knowledge really of the playbook, he hasn't been involved, obviously. I mean, the guy just signed this week. They just needed another guy, but not just a guy, not a Curtis Samuel or a Hollins, like not just a body who's at the later stages of their career. They needed a stud. Amari Cooper, I understand he's up there in age. It's his 4th team. He led the league in drops going into this game with the Browns. It's a different situation. He is still a stud. He's still one of the better wide receivers in the league. And compared to what the Bills had on their roster, he's far and away the best wide receiver on the team. They absolutely needed this guy. And the confidence instilled in me for his ability to go out there and do what he did today in a limited role without really having any acclimation to the team yet. Yep. It just showed me that this is going to be something that we are hoping it's going to be. And I'm very, very excited for it.
Here's one thing I learned. Throwing interceptions can be controlled. And it's very much in play right now. Some folks thought that Josh Allen's just a gunslinger. I mean, he doesn't care. I mean, he's like with an elite player. That's what you get with Josh Allen. You get that with him. So take it or leave it. It's what you get with him. But he's showing me and teaching me that he consciously can take the ball and not make those bad throws. I don't know if it was a matter of did he care enough, or he just got sick of people just trashing his name, or those interceptions is what cost him, potentially being an MVP. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is this: he can learn not to throw picks, and he's doing it right now. We're 7 weeks in, and has not thrown a single interception. Has he thrown some questionable balls? Absolutely, but he can learn not to do that. So those moments where he does a bozo toss it back, I mean, this is way back when, or he's fitting it in under 3 people where you're like, dude, you don't need to do that. He's learned that he doesn't need to, and it's clear. No interceptions, 7 weeks in, and we're 5-2. We're 5-2. So good on Josh. He understands that his numbers may not be the greatest because he's going to have to take what the defense gives him. But for the most part, now that we got ourselves a bona fide X receiver, there ain't no take what the defense gives us. Because right now, Amari Cooper is going to take what the defense is going to take, and he's going to allow Josh Allen to just thrive. Even today, on a small scale, he's allowed him to drive. So that's what I learned from my guy Josh. He knows not to. He can learn not to throw picks. So big on him, man. Big on him. What are you smiling at? Something happening?
Yeah, the Niners just scored. You'd have thought the Bills just won the Super Bowl the way my dad's going out. Purdy just stuck it in. Touchdown Niners. It's just Purdy. He QB sneak. He just ran it in. But to your point here, and as I talk about this, you're right. Mahomes has 8 interceptions on the year now. In 7 games, Allen has 0. It's not this, and everybody's like, oh, well, he's still not Mahomes. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, it's pretty remarkable what we're watching right now. The ability to not turn the ball over like that is insane. What do we got here? Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. So that is the stat.
You got me do my Shannon Sharp. There it is.
According to StatMuse, Josh Allen has the most TD passes without an interception to start a season in NFL history. Yeah, it's truly a remarkable start. And this is coming from the same guy who gets criticized time and time again for the exact thing he's not doing this year. Awesome stuff.
Which is a pretty crazy stat to think about it, because Aaron Rodgers had a 34 touchdown, 4 interception season. And that's pretty damn amazing.
A couple years ago. Yeah,
absolutely. And you got Josh right now on NFL history, making NFL history, throwing how many touchdown passes? He's got 11?
12 touchdown passes. I think how many rushing? 3 or 4, maybe.
That's truly incredible. Yeah, that's exactly what he's got right now. Just taking a look here. Yo, he's killing it this year right now. And it's the fact that he's consciously not throwing picks, consciously making the right decision rather than just saying, you know what? If he gets it, he gets it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If he dies, he dies. He doesn't have that mentality anymore. It's like, all right, I got to be smart about this. I got to be smart. This is the mature Josh, right? And now that you have yourself an actual X receiver that can get open and not even have a full freaking playbook, huge, very huge.
Yep.
What else stood out to you?
Oh boy. The second half adjustments from McDermott shine once again. This man goes into the second half every game and seemingly has an answer for what's working on the other side. They shut down the Titans offense. Once again, I understand the Titans offense. It's not it's not the Randy Moss era New England Patriots. I get that, but they were moving the ball up and down the field in the first half. They had 50 total yards of offense in the second half. And McDermott, week in and week out, somehow takes this defense into halftime and stifles whatever seems to be working on the other side of the ball for the opponent. It's remarkable, and it's one more reason why we continue to defend McDermott even in the darkest hours, because this guy is better than advertised, and those moments show you. Once again today, 0 points allowed in 3 consecutive quarters, I believe, today, at least the second half. I don't think they scored in the second quarter. And a 34-0 run because of that. This defense under Sean McDermott continues to shine, and they continue to adjust in game to allow themselves to take away whatever seems to be working on the other side. It's very impressive, and it's time and time again. It's very consistent too. Very impressed with McDermott's ability to do that seemingly routinely.
I'm glad you brought that up, because now I'm trying to play off of it, right? So now McDermott coming in and making those halftime adjustments, chef's kiss. One thing I'm gonna really stand on. What I noticed that they're starting to give a lot more trust to Ray Davis. It used to be giving James Cook 17, 18 touches to Ray Davis's 4 or 5. Now you're starting to see that he's earned their trust. He's capitalizing on his his opportunities, and you're going to start to see a lot more of a balanced run game with both of them in the game. And if one has a little more juice in the game, one's going to stay in. But I'm learning that they're trusting more. It's not about one being better than the other. It's about trusting both at the same time and not one more than the other. So love what they're doing in the run game. I'm pleased by it. What say you if you have one more in you?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And he 1,000% earned that right last week. The guy had the most yards from scrimmage out of any rookie this year in a single game, and that was his first start last week. So the guy has certainly earned everything you're praising him for. I think it's been beyond impressive, and it's so comforting to know that they have. I mean, even when Ty Johnson gets his moments too, he's still, in my opinion, he plays pretty well. So like these guys are loaded up at the running back position right now. One thing that stood out to me was Allen's ability to overcome a poor first half. Sometimes it feels like when Allen is off to a bad start, it just kind of means he's going to have a poor game. Allen was 4 of 11 at half, and he wound up turning that game into a 300-plus yard performance with multiple TDs. I was impressed with Allen's ability to flip the script because early on, it just felt like there was nothing going until everything started to get going. I feel like a lot of times with Allen, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it feels like you're going to kind of be stuck in that rut for the whole game. It just kind of seems like that's the vibe. Today, he did a really good job of starting out poorly, really turning the page and having the best game statistically of his year so far.
Love it. We got a super chat come in from my man Signify. Says, yo, take it from me, Rico. I lived in Seattle for 3 years, bro. Absolute. Damn, really? He says, it's an absolute shithole. Gives San Fran a run for its money. Now, I've never been to either city. My brother-in-law actually lives in both, so I'll have to ask him. And he seems to prefer Seattle over San Fran, but I can't really speak for any more than that. I don't know. You've ever been to either city?
Yeah, I've been to both. They're pretty comparable, and they both, they kind of have the same vibe where it's a lot of they've let a lot go there. It's kind of they've allowed a lot to deteriorate there. It's unfortunate. I know there's major, socioeconomic problems that didn't used to be there that are there now, and they're very obvious once you walk around the streets. I know for a fact in San Francisco. I've heard the very, very similar sentiment. Now, Washington State in itself, though, one of the most gorgeous places on the planet. I love it out there.
I got you. Well, Richard Fresh comes in and says, hey, was looking bleak, but we back, baby. No firings today. Firings
Rich,
today.
You've been waiting for that. Good to hear it. Love it.
I know. No firings today, brother. Aaron had 48 touchdowns to his 5 interceptions.
His 2020 year was ridiculous.
Crazy.
But it's the start. It's the start to the year without a pick, I think, was the NFL record. This amount of touchdowns without throwing one.
Yeah.
So obviously Rodgers had thrown one before he had hit 12 TDs on the year.
That's where we stand at. But listen, man, I mean, at this point, 34-10 victory. I mean, I'll take it. Do we have some things to clean up? We absolutely do. It's one of those things that that's part of the game. It is part of the game. But if you were part of the group of people that were taking a look to see where your fantasy players were, well, folks, there is no other opportunity than you could take.
These boys and girls know.
Well, listen, folks, if you didn't have an opportunity to jump in on Underdog, this was a mistake. You had an opportunity to jump in with our guy Cooper. But folks,
and what's funny today about Underdog today, Rico, is you probably would have thought, I might not lose. I might not win with my lineup today. Then that second half hit, and you're like, oh boy, these boys are cooking.
And it's a great time for the football year again, man. Football's back, and it's here to stay till February, especially if the Bills are going to be in this thing, right? Folks, over 1 million fans across 33 states got in the game last year by making picks on Underdog. Win up to 1,000 times your money by just choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats, touchdowns, passing. Listen, folks, if anybody had Amari Cooper scoring a touchdown today, you probably scored high. If you went higher than one, boy, you're good.
You had some stones of steel if you took the higher on that this afternoon. I love it.
If you had Josh going for over 300 yards today because Amari Cooper was playing, boy, were you a fan of your pick? Because that's exactly what took place today. So, folks, listen, Have your chance. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with your promo code BMafia, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus $1,000 in your bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code BMafia to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit. It's really that simple, folks. It's simple. And here's the disclaimer. You have it. You know the drill. You got to eat. You got to be 18 in certain states. It's right in front of you. Be responsible at the end of the day. And folks, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is this. We need dubs. And dubs, we got 2 of them in a row. Let's keep stacking them. We got a big matchup against Seattle next week. And that's a big matchup. I don't care what anybody will tell us.
It's big.
Big
Do not underestimate Seattle. I feel like people might be doing that. Don't. Just because they've been getting their ass kicked the last couple of weeks, they're healthier now. You saw it on display today. They worked Kirk Cousins and the Falcons this afternoon.
And we got to stop the press because my man, our guy Cardero Linder.
Hit it all for Cardero. Hit it all for that
guy. I gotta give Cardero Linder a little more love. There's my guy. Comes in with a big super chat. He goes, "What's up, brothers? Go Bills and go Dogs. Big dubs." Listen, if you guys don't know, man, Cardero's a big Georgia Bulldog. He's a big Georgia Bulldogs fan.
Dominance last night, Cardero. Speaking of good defense, Georgia's D last night, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Congrats on the dub last night and this afternoon, Cordero. Good weekend for you, my man.
When your Bulldogs win, when your Bills win, it's a good week. We appreciate you, brother. This doesn't go unnoticed. Obviously, it's much, much appreciated. Folks, it's always a good week when the Bills win. It's an even better week when your collegiate team wins. So big shout out to everybody that tuned in for the show. It's been fantastic.
By the way, happy birthday to Mr. Fulton Mraz. Today is his 25th birthday, quarter of a century in the books. The Bills gave him a birthday W. Happy birthday to you, Mr. Fulton. Congrats on the beautiful birthday gift. The Bills tied with a red bow for you this afternoon. Love it.
A wonderful red bow. So, folks, we have a slate of games in the afternoon that could be very, very telling as to what the landscape of the AFC is going to look like. And right now, the Bills are every bit of in the thick of things at the top of the AFC. A big matchup is going to be the Steelers and Jets tonight.
Oh, I cannot wait for that game.
Russell Wilson makes his debut this year. Will he be a bum or will he be a star? We're about to find out what takes place. Listen, Devontae Adams makes his first debut with the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. I hope that goes down as an epic, terrible decision down the toilet. I want the Steelers and TJ Watt to absolutely be an absolute menace towards these guys, and making that decision is going to be a bad one. So we'll see how it all shapes out. My man Don Peasley says, "Yo, Bot, where's the nipple pasties?" I don't know what that means.
I'm not even going to pretend to know what that means. I don't know what you're talking about. What in God's name is that?
My man said, "I'm not even going to pretend to know what that
What does that even mean?"
What is that? Ren, I thought that was like an inside joke or maybe from a previous show.
No, it's not. It is now, though. Let me just remind you, by the way, tonight, though, how much we need to be rooting against the Jets, because the Bills right now, the way it currently is set up, I mean, we're talking about a 5th consecutive championship here within the East. With that in itself would be great, but the ability to have the comfort in which would result in a Jets loss tonight would be nuts, because with the Bills win this afternoon, they're now 5-2. A Jets loss tonight would have the Jets at 2-5, the Dolphins at 2-5, the Patriots at 1-6. You got to also remember the Bills still have 2 remaining games against these god-awful Patriots. The Bills are going to be set up in unbelievable shape should the Jets lose tonight. They'll have a 3-game lead that going forward here, not only do you have that lead, but you also have your most winnable section of your schedule right in front of you here.
Josh Allen in his 100th start.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. I thought you were taking. I thought you had.
I had it queued up because it was playing off what you were saying right now.
Let me hear it.
Because I had our guy McDermott giving a little speech to the squad after this game. I haven't listened to it yet, so I want to see where he goes with this. By the way, who would you give your game ball to?
I gotta get my game ball to Amari Cooper, man. First game in, you get a touchdown. You have this, like I keep mentioning. I understand 66 yards or whatever it was. It's not like, oh, if you're like, we always bring up fantasy. Like if you have 66 yards fantasy, oh, whatever, that's a nice day. The leading receiver in an individual game going into this game was Khalil Shakir with 71, I think, against Jacksonville. He did that after driving through the night from Cleveland to Buffalo, barely knowing the playbook, barely being out on the field. He and Keon Coleman can cut the game ball down the middle today. I loved what I saw from both. Oh,
that hurts. And here's the crazy part.
Speaking of fantasy, you know what? I'm done. I'm never playing again. Not only was he one of the worst picks of the year.
Don't tell me you have Brandon Ayuk.
Of course I do. Of course I do.
And here's the thing. I just picked up Ricky Pearsall.
That's going to be good for you. That's going to be good for you.
We're about to find out. Let's take a look at what Sean McDermott had to say today.
Please.
All right, hey, good win, man. Good win. What's that number? 5. Number 5. I'll tell you what, man. I didn't recognize that group that was out there in the first half. We got offense doing their thing, defense doing their thing, special teams. There's like 3 different teams out there. In the second half, you just start playing good, sound, fundamental football. And then I saw our team come together. And that's why you won, right? Good, sound, fundamental football. Coming together as a team. That's how you won the football game. So we got to learn from that. Real quick, I want to honor Josh, right? Josh Allen and his 100th start. Yeah.
Real talk defense. You keep us in it, man. You keep us in it. We're going to figure it out. And we
Hell
did that. Great team win. Love y'all.
Well,
I mean, that's QB1 all day, Rico. 100th start, he gets the game ball. First thing out of his mouth, credits the defense. That's QB1 right there.
And as he should, because this defense, and as much as people want to poo-poo on run defense and defense being liability, we lean on the defense.
Would you not turn into another thing? Would you not?
Listen, we lean on the defense. The defense comes through and lets the offense cook. And listen, jokes aside, he's right. Lean on the defense. And 100 games in, I really wish you would have got that touchdown. I really wish you would have got it.
I know, especially because it was such a great play. But man, how are we 100 games into this? Isn't that crazy?
Listen, every time I see Allen get on there, I'm happy, but I'm like, man, he's getting older. He's getting older, but I'm not gonna let myself go there. But I'll say this though, before we get out of here, Curtis Samuel. Oh my gosh.
No, can we not end on that? I don't want to end that.
Listen, we're not going to end on that because I just happened to open my phone up and I was like, oh, I just saw something.
It's so unfortunate because it's not like they got him for nothing. I mean, the fact that he was brought in to be a guy that you and I both thought was going to be able to resurrect his career with the best quarterback talent that he's been surrounded with his whole career here. He can't stay healthy. He was on the field for one play today. It was immediately into the blue tent. I don't know what's going on with him. And when he is healthy, which he really hasn't been at all, but there's just nothing going on with him at all. Nothing.
We knew this was going to happen. I mean, we knew this is part of his deal, and we'll go from there. But the one thing I will say though, looking at the totality of this game, man, bro, we're on the rise. We're getting our act together, and hopefully we can start stacking it up, and we can make some things get down and get busy. So listen, man, big win for the Bills. Big dub for the Bills. So, that's it for us, folks. I mean, unless you want to jump in and share some more stuff, because I know there's big games going on. Kansas City is about to get their tails beat, which is nice. So do you take the Vikings over the KC now, or are you still rocking with KC over the
your beloved Vikings lost to the Lions today in a shootout. That was a hell of a game. Lions look unreal.
The Lions gonna be tough
the NFC North is different, Rico. Packers, Lions, and Vikings, plus the Bears coming up too. That division looks really good, man.
Who would have thunk? The
Not
NFC North, baby.
Not I. But no, so that a lot of stuff to talk about throughout the week here. I'll be back live with you tomorrow. Rico will be with you Tuesday, and we'll talk more about this game, of course. We'll also get to talking about the Seattle game as well, because that's going to be a fun one. So looking forward to talking to you throughout the rest of the week. And then on your way out the door, like button, subscribe button, and also link in the description below, not only for Underdog, which Rico mentioned to you earlier. You're going to want to take advantage of that, but also Autograph down there. Download the Autograph app. It's days like tomorrow when you want the Autograph app because it's a 34-10 drubbing. And with a drubbing like that, you'll want to consume all the Bills content you possibly can as Brock Purdy throws a damn pick. Unbelievable. You do not want to consume that content. You want to consume positive Bills content. Underdog is going to have, or Autograph's going to have that for you. So download the app. It's completely free. Link in the description below. And all the content you consume on Autograph earns you fan points that you can use towards merch, jerseys, tickets, you name it. Download the Autograph app and download the Underdog app. Both links in the description below.
Yo, cue us a little something so we get out of here. What do you got?
You got it, baby. You got it. We're out. That's Rico. That's Bot. Bills. Dominant second half leads to a 5-2 record. 34-10 the W. I'm back with you tomorrow night. Rico's with you Tuesday. We'll be back with you together later on in the week. We got a lot more coming for you on BF throughout this upcoming week. We look forward to talking to you then. Thanks for tuning in to the BF postgame show. Much love as always, everybody. Enjoy the W. Enjoy your week. We'll talk soon. Much love. Go
Peace.
Bills.
Go Bills.